And so, you guys, I feel like we haven't rolled that Patriots Global intro in a while. And so we had to roll it. Okay, we had to roll it because today we are doing something different. Today we are doing something that I don't really see anybody else on this platform doing. And so I was like, you know what? Why don't we try something new? Today we are waking up earlier than usual to make sure that we bring you guys live updates from New England Patriots. Day 5 of training camp already. It's absolutely insane. Today's the first day that pads go on. We are going to be reacting live to everything that comes in via tweets from the media that is there. Everything that I see, you guys are going to be seeing live in moment. We'll probably still do a professional recap like we've done the other 4 days, like we do every single year. That'll probably drop later on today. I'm just giving you guys the more in-depth breakdown. A lot of times news will come out a few hours after practice, so anything that we miss, we'll go over in a separate video or a separate live stream later today. We're also going to be reacting to any press conferences that happened today, too, between Mike Vrabel, any players. So, well, first off, hopefully they're good press conferences today. But second off, hopefully they don't say anything that gets us demonetized. But welcome, everybody, to the chat. I appreciate you guys for being patient. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got everything figured out, man. Shout out to my boy, Mick Goat, who sends in a banana emoji. A banana emoji. Let's go, Mick Goat. That's exactly what we wanted to see to start off this beautiful Monday, first day of pads. $1 donation by Mick Goat comes back in with another $1.50 emoji, baby. That is exactly what we're talking about, Mick Goat. Getting this party started off correctly, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat who's kicking it with me this morning. Man, I got my coffee, guys. It's little, but boy, oh boy, is there enough caffeine to get me through it, babies. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out to DTN, my boy in the chat. Mick Goat is also here. We got, is that Ruckus or Ruckus? For sportscaster, I'm terrible with spelling, but shout out to my boy in the chat. He says, let's go. Yes, sir, baby. LFG. We got Isaiah in the chat. We got Chris in the chat. We got CDS in the chat. We got Thomas in the chat. Everybody, this is exactly what we wanted to see. Everyone is kicking it off here. King Reacts up here in the chat with us too. We got Nikhil. I believe I'm saying that right. In the chat also. Good morning, everybody. I feel like without further ado, we got Edward up in the chat, man. Edward, I hope you got some positivity for me here today. It's early. It's early, Edward. I'm going to need you to be a little bit more positive today. We got Bucks, Rays, and Bolts all up in the chat. When are you doing roundtable again? So in terms of the AFC East will be still every single Wednesday. As for the AFC West and the NFC South, both of those roundtables kick off the first week of August. So not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, Roundtable Sports is back. And again, I'll be hosting the AFC West and NFC South roundtable just like last year. So without further ado, let's go ahead. In fact, we got one more super chat before we do. My boy Isaiah comes in here with a $2 donation and says, do you think the Patriots could trade for Scary Terry? This is something I've been wanting to talk about. Now, thankfully for me, guys, now I have off for the next week. That's my summer break. It's actually pretty sad, but my summer break for college is this week. So I'm hoping to get caught up on some videos, talk about Terry McLaurin, talk about Christian Wilkins of the Patriots. There's some news that I've been wanting to talk about that I haven't exactly gotten to just because I've had a lot of school. For those who don't know, I'm in my college era, I guess is what they call it, but I'm getting my sportscasting degree, my bachelor's in sportscasting, and it's 2.5 years, but it's through. So it's been pretty rugged. But I graduated in December. So for those who have ever been in college, this is like my senior year, all right? So I got senioritis right now, and it's pretty bad. For anybody that's ever been in college, like the last few months of college, like they just throw the freaking kitchen sink at you. So I've been putting in a lot of work there. But now that I got the week off, I'm going to try to get caught up on some things. But look, if they can trade for Terry McLaurin, I think they should. And I think they'll be all in. Based off of reports, they are all in on Terry McLaurin if that does happen. But you had Jaden Daniels coming out into camp yesterday, live on TV, starting chance to pay Terry McLaurin after everything that team has gone through, all of the assets that they've brought in, over the last 2 years. I just don't think it makes sense for the Commanders to trade away Terry McLaurin. That is a top 5 player, maybe even a top 3 player on that team. And Jaden Daniels had just an unprecedented run for a rookie this past year. You don't ruin that by trading his number 1 wide receiver. I know you have Debo, but that was to complement Terry McLaurin, right? Debo is not a number 1 wide receiver at this point in his career. Terry McLaurin is. And that's going to help each other get open. Terry's going to help Debo. Debo is going to help Terry. So I think the only way that Terry McLaurin does get traded is if he forces his way out there, because look, he's not happy. I can tell you right now, he's not happy. I had to do this as a report for school. And from what I'm seeing, Terry McLaurin wants to be in Washington. That's where he started his career. That's where his family started. But he also feels disrespected, and he has to take care of his family first. So if Washington isn't going to give him that deal, he's going to go out and he's going to get that deal somewhere else. Now, one thing that is boding well for the Patriots is a couple of weeks ago, the Commanders posted like, hey, we're getting back into training camp and whatnot. This is what you missed during the offseason. And they essentially made this social media post of their players that got married during the offseason. Terry McLaurin was one of them, and they didn't include him at all. In fact, a fan in the comment section said, you guys disrespected Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin liked that tweet. So right now, things aren't good. He was holding out of camp, and then he showed up. Is a contract looming? Maybe. But right now, he's definitely not happy. Shout out to my boy Isaiah, though. But let's kick into training camp mode now. I'm going to share my screen here with you guys. So we got a couple of things already here from Mark Daniels. Shout out to Mark Daniels. I think he's such an underrated reporter for Boston media. But he just started off a little bit of fun here. Mike Vrabel had his press conference before practice per usual. And Mark Daniels is letting us know that Mike Vrabel got into a fight as a rookie during his first padded practice back when he was a player in the NFL. He said he doesn't want his rookies to do that today. As things ramp up, the energy for players also ramps up, right? That energy level. And sometimes they just make stupid decisions. Sometimes their mind is racing a little bit too quick. That logic doesn't exactly set through. So hopefully no fights today. I feel like for the Patriots, it's very few and far between that we see teammates actually fighting, but it does happen, right? Like, let's remember a few years ago, I believe this was 2017, I want to say. It's either 2017 or 2018. Stephon Gilmore and Julian Edelman fighting during Patriots training camp when the pads go on. I mean, two guys you would never think would fight, let alone each other. So anything can happen, but it sounds like the precedent that was set by Mike Vrabel to the players was you might get heated, you might get upset. Let's not throw punches. So maybe we see some pushing and shoving. Maybe we see some guys get heated. That's usually something you see every year, but hopefully we don't see anything too serious. Now, another good little piece of news here. Jalen Polk is back at practice today. Now, I'll be curious to see if he's a limited participant or if he's a full participant. But something that I told you guys in my last training camp recap was that Jalen Polk was on the outside looking in, heading into training camp. But the expectations were set that he was going to compete because he was at the throwing session with Drake Maye and the rest of the offense down in North Carolina a couple of weeks ago before the start of training camp. Through 4 days so far of camp, Jalen Polk wasn't on the PUP list, but he wasn't practicing. He was on the lower field rehabbing with the other injured players, including also Mac Hollins. I said that at least for Mac Hollins, he's a guy that they gave guaranteed money to. He's a guy that's a veteran. He's a guy that can give them versatility there at the X. He's going to be a leader in the locker room. So it doesn't necessarily matter as much for somebody like Mac Hollins to be on the field right away because Josh McDaniels knows him. Mac Hollins knows Josh McDaniels. Mac Hollins has been in the system. He understands those expectations. Only reason you want Mac Hollins on the field ASAP is just to build that chemistry with Drake Maye. But as for Jalen Polk, you want him to continue to build that chemistry with Drake Maye because we didn't really see that last year. Also, he's never worked in the Josh McDaniels offense before. I said that if he couldn't be here when pads go on, it was going to be rough for him. It was going to be an uphill battle for Jalen Polk to be able to make this roster because this is really where the coaching staff is going to start taking things away from their players. This is the first practice. I truly believe this. This is going to be the first real practice where they start looking at who is going to make this roster and who is not, because this is where the competition level is going to be the highest of all offseason practices so far. So the fact that Jalen Polk is there is huge. He's going to need to make up for lost time. Again, we'll see how much of a participant he is, but the fact that he is there is at the very least step one. Now he has to remain healthy and remain consistent. I don't want to see him back on the PUP list tomorrow. Now, we did get a little bit of more news here for Mark Daniels. He did let us know that the guys that were absent today, Jelani Tavai and Carlton Davis. Now this has been pretty disappointing to me, just because we heard from Mike Vrabel the day before the start of training camp that Carlton Davis and Jelani Tavai were expected to be a go. These were guys that were either on the PUP list or on the NFI list. And Carlton Davis, yeah, he was there. Yeah, he participated day one, but after that, he started to be absent. And he has practice in Carlton Davis more than just day one. Mike Vrabel said a couple of days ago that the reason that he was absent for a couple of days was more so because of veteran rest. And I was like, okay, like that makes sense. Carlton Davis is a veteran. Carlton Davis is a guy that has experience under Terrell Williams, new Patriots defensive coordinator. He also has an injury history, right? He just had a broken jaw this past season, which made him miss the remainder of the 2024 season there for the Detroit Lions. So makes sense. I said, though, when pads go on, this is a guy that you want out there to build chemistry with that defense. Still absent. He's been absent the majority of practices. Carlton Davis has been absent more than he's been present at training camp so far, which makes me wonder if something else is going on. And maybe Mike Vrabel, maybe Mike Vrabel's messing with us a little bit. Maybe he wasn't telling us the truth. Maybe he didn't understand how serious that initial injury was. And so he was hoping that, he gave Carlton Davis a few days off because of a potential injury. And he told the media that it was, just veteran rest. And then it became a little bit more serious than maybe Mike Vrabel originally anticipated. So haven't heard anything about it yet, but the fact that Carlton Davis is absent, or at least not participating on the first day of pads, to me, that says a lot. And I think there's a little bit of an underlying story that right now we're not hearing. And then Jelani Tavai, this is another guy that I was expecting to be on the field by now. We were told he was going to be for the start of training camp, and he's just been absent. Sounds like he's still rehabbing that calf injury that he suffered. I believe it was back. Yeah, it was the final day of OTAs. Now, I didn't expect Jelani Tavai to be back for the start of training camp anyway. But again, Mike Vrabel told us he was going to be, and he just hasn't. Now, I do think Jelani Tavai does still have a spot on this team. I do still think that there is a role carved out for him on the defense, but this is also a pretty loaded linebacker core. You got Jack Gibbons, you got Robert Spillane, right? You got a lot of different guys that in this linebacker core have experience under Mike Vrabel, have experience under Terrell Williams. So Jelani Tavai is definitely not a lock, especially with question marks on how is he going to fit this defensive system. Obviously had that controversy with the fans last year. So Jelani Tavai is another guy where, look, health is the number one and most important thing in any sport, right? Availability is job security. You have to be on the field in order to win a job, right? What's that famous saying that I've been hearing going around Boston media? It's like, you can't make the club from the tub. I think I've seen that all over Twitter when it comes to Patriots injuries, and it's exactly true. And I think that is exactly what I would say for Jelani Tavai. As for guys who are still on the PUP list, it's the same guys. You got Matt Collins still on the PUP. You got Austin Hooper still on the PUP. You got Vadarian Lowe still on the PUP. Really hope to see both, or not both, but all three of those guys back in some capacity at some point. Again, I think Josh McDaniels knows how he's going to use Matt Collins. Usage-wise, I'm not scared, but I just want to see, what does Matt Collins look like? How does he look coming back from that injury? Because that's a question we don't know. I also want to see Austin Hooper back into the mix, right? We know what to expect from Hooper and Maye. I think that Austin Hooper, he's been around the block. He has experience with Mike Vrabel, obviously during his time in Tennessee. But I want to see him continue to pick up where he left off with Drake Maye in 2024. But also, Austin Hooper hasn't worked under Josh McDaniels. In fact, actually, I think Austin Hooper did work with Josh McDaniels back when he was, I believe he was a Raider. Let me not lie to you guys. Let me make sure I'm right about this. If I remember correctly, so he was with the Raiders in 2023. So he might have been there right before Josh McDaniels got fired. So there might be a little bit of a crossover there. So maybe that's also why they're not rushing him to get back. But again, I would just like to see him back sooner rather than later. But look, out of all these guys, Austin Hooper's probably the guy that you feel most confident you can plug him in week one and be pretty fine. But Vidarian Lowe, right? Vidarian Lowe is going to be really interesting because right now with this offensive line, these guys are being plugged everywhere. You got tackles playing guard. You got right tackles repping in at left tackle. I want to see what is the plan for Vidarian Lowe, because right now the main backup tackle has been Demontre Jacobs, both at right tackle, and now they're giving him reps at left tackle. When Vidarian Lowe comes back, is he the guy that is the primary swing tackle? Is he their main backup guy, or is it still Demontre Jacobs? So definitely something to keep an eye on. But like we said, Jalen Polk did return, and you also had Josh Minkins also return. He was on NFI. Sounds like he's been officially removed. So first day of pads, the Patriots definitely getting some good news here. Let's see. Okay, let's not overreact, but I think Gonzo should not practice for the rest of training camp. DTN, don't you do this to me. Don't you do this to me, DTN. Don't tell me Gonzo got hurt, man. Hold the phone, man. Hold the phone. I can't do this. It's too early. Oh, Nikes, dude. Yep. All right, look, we got a little bit of an update. Christian Gonzalez. Okay, maybe we should start with the first one. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm scared. Gonzalez hopped off to the sideline, aimed immediately, called for the trainers. He walked off the field with the medical staff and is in the back with the trainers now. Then we got an update not too long after. Actually, I think these should be swapped. Christian Gonzalez just suffered what appears to be an injury to his left leg. Looked like he grabbed the back of his leg after covering Stephon Diggs in 11-on-11s. So it sounds like it was either a calf injury or a hamstring injury. That's what it sounds like. Grabbing the back of your leg. It depends on where he's grabbing. The lower down the leg that it is, that would be a calf injury. Could this potentially be something like Jelani Tavai had? Now, Jelani Tavai was down for a while, so even then, it sounds like it wouldn't be as severe as that. But if it's a little far more up the leg, then it could potentially be something in his hamstring, and those hamstring injuries can be lingering. So the fact that he walked off under his own power with trainers is a good sign, but Gonzo does have an injury history, okay? He was injured at times last year. We all know what happened his rookie season. Tore his shoulder in week 4, week 5. He was out for the season, so you want to play it safe, right? And DTN, I know that you said, look, I would keep Gonzo out the rest of training camp. They're definitely not going to do that. Now, they're going to keep him out as long as need be for him to come back healthy. And look, this just happened. So we still need a lot of news on this. There's not too much that we're given right now. Again, from what we're hearing, it sounds like maybe it could have just been a scare. But we've also seen players who have had serious injuries and still walk off under their own power. So I'm not trying to scare anyone, but right now we quite literally don't know anything. But the fact that he's on the lower field with trainers is good, right? Like if he went back to the locker room, I'd be more scared, because usually if players are, it's like, oh, did he tear something? Is this a serious injury? Usually they'll take them to get x-rays and such. So as long as he didn't go into Gillette Stadium for any type of x-rays or whatnot, and he's just on the lower field getting checked, maybe he just tweaked something. All right, well, that's not what you want. That's not what you want. Damn. Nose goes. Nose goes, Edward. Nose goes. It's a hammy. Is that confirmed? I feel like I'd be more concerned if it was a hamstring than a calf. But again, we don't know the severity. I got a tweet about this. Not ideal for the first day of pads for #Patriots. You guys are doing this in real time for #Patriots training camp. Sounds like a calf or hamstring injury, but so far all signs point. Oh, Glenn's up in the chat too. So Pats look bad, Glenn. No, Glenn, the Pats don't look bad, okay? The Pats don't look bad. It's Gonzo got hurt. Gonzo got hurt, man. This is like when Justin Fields went down for the Jets in training camp a couple of days ago and got carted off, and Jets fans thought their season was over. It is over, but it was over before that happened. It was over before that happened. But at least Gonzo didn't get carted off. At least Gonzo walked off. But like, you can't lose Gonzo. Like, we already don't have Carlton Davis at practice. Now we don't have Christian Gonzalez there right now. I mean, who's your corner right now? Is Alex Austin our starting cornerback right now? Is Marcus Jones playing outside cornerback right now? This is why I said they need to address outside cornerback more. Like, they need to get another guy in building in case Gonzo goes down, in case Carlton Davis goes down. I've been saying this for a long time. If one of those guys goes down, you're screwed, especially if it's Christian Gonzalez. Now you got both of those guys not at practice right now. And the way you said it, I thought they had a bad practice. Now, so practice just started, Glenn. Practice just started, but they started 11-on-11s, and Gonzo went down with an injury covering Stephon Diggs. It was sounds like it was his left leg, but the back of his left leg. Oh, yeah, but Glenn, I heard you guys got Jack Jones, so good luck with that handful. He'll be tweeting about your organization within a month. Within a month. All right, let's see if we got any more updates. I just want to hear about Gonzo at this point, man. I don't care about anything else, man. Someone let me know about Christian Gonzalez, damn it. Jack Jones is going to cause the implosion. Ah, dude. How great would that be? Yeah, dude, how great would it be if Jack Jones caused the implosion of the Miami Dolphins? They're already hanging on by a thread. Former New England Patriots cornerback comes in, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to start the rebuild. Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be freaking awesome, man. The Cape 88 comes in with a very generous $5 donation. Shout out to the Cape, everyone. Says, hopefully Efton Chisholm makes the roster and the rest of the roster stays healthy, man. I feel like the biggest issue for this team has really just been staying healthy. I mean, you look at it, 2023, you lose Judon, you lose Gonzo. They lost like every starter. And then last year, you lost David Andrews, you lost Juwan Bentley, Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers had the off-the-field issues. You had that O-line all banged up. Like, this team has had pretty underrated problems at staying healthy. Look, I don't care how good the starters are. If the depth isn't just equally as good, you're holding yourself back. And that's why I said the depth for this O-line needs to be better. The depth for these cornerbacks, it needs to be better. especially when you have guys at those positions that can't stay healthy. So I agree with you. If this team stays healthy, they have a high ceiling, but they're only going to reach that ceiling if they stay healthy. As for Efton Chisholm, I'm definitely rooting for Chisholm, man. I miss that classic small white slot receiver in Josh McDaniels' offense, man. That guy was always reliable. The Danny Amendolas, the Julian Edelmans. Those were the beauty days. Wes Welkers. We haven't had one of those guys in a while. I would love to have one of those guys back, but right now Chisholm ain't doing much. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Chisholm's quieted down. Now, today's the first day of pads, so if Chisholm can pop out a little bit, if he can make some plays, that's going to be a big takeaway for the coaching staff. But you also got that competition level rising, right? You got Stephon Diggs back as a full participant, knock on wood. You also got, Jalen Polk returning to practice today. So those reps are going to be taken away a bit from Efton Chisholm. So he's going to need to make sure he is making his name heard. And so far through 5 days of camp, well, I should say 4 days because today just started, but through 4 days of camp, he really has not done much of anything. Now, it was either yesterday or the day before we did hear he was taking snaps with the first team offense. So they're at least giving him looks. But again, if he's not making plays, it's not going to matter. So he's certainly quieted down. I'm going to be honest. Right now, I don't have him on my 53. Oh, we got some other breaking news that I do want to share with you guys. Whoa. All right, so this isn't Patriots related, but it could be. But yeah, like I said, I don't have Efton Chisholm on my 53-man roster right now just because I think he's a fan favorite because of what fans think he could be, right? Like, it's kind of like Javon Baker, except Efton Chisholm can actually make this 53-man roster. Like, there's actually a chance. But I think a lot of fans are falling in love with Efton Chisholm before he proves anything, just like they've fallen in love with Javon Baker there a little bit before Javon Baker's done anything. So I'm certainly rooting for Efton Chisholm, but right now he hasn't done enough, at least following up in summer practices the way that he did in spring practices for me to put him on that 53. But let me share this real quick. Let me go back here for a second, because we got some NFL breaking news. Oops. So, a little bit of NFL breaking news here, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, according to Cordarrelle Patterson himself, old Patriots friend of the podcast, Cordarrelle Patterson, is being released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Quote, breaking news, Pittsburgh Steelers release old washed-up Cordarrelle Patterson on his day off. Is he really that washed up? How old is Cordarrelle Patterson, actually? Is he that old? I think Cordarrelle Patterson was... I mean, he's been in the league for a minute, but oh, shoot, wow, he's 34 years old. Damn. 34 years old, and this past season, he put up 135 receiving yards. So, look, I think this Patriots offense is pretty stacked, and I know that they're trying to get younger. You know, they have enough bodies at wide receiver. They got enough bodies at running back. So, I'm not saying that they're going to do this. The odds are probably that they don't. But we do know that the Patriots have experience with Cordarrelle Patterson, right? He was with this team in 2018 when they won Super Bowl 53, and he was here with Josh McDaniels, right? And Josh McDaniels is really the reason that Cordarrelle Patterson has lasted in the league, with all due respect. He goes out there and he has time with the Steelers. He has time with the Falcons, and that's really when teams started to utilize him more in the offense. They started to premiere him more. Cordarrelle Patterson is really interesting because he can be used as a wide receiver. He has speed to him. He can also get some snaps there at H-back. He's kind of like an old man's not as good Cordarrelle Patterson, but he also plays on special teams, right? Like, I don't know if he has it in him to still be this, especially with the new kickoff rule, but back in the day, man, I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson with the Patriots, even with the Falcons, during his time with the Raiders and Vikings, he was one of the best return men in all of the NFL on special teams. Kick return, punt return. I mean, he was known for never taking a touchback. He would field pretty much every kick, every punt that would go his way, and he was iconic for taking them to the house. So maybe the Patriots look into him, like I said, experience there with Josh McDaniels, gives them some depth there at running back, some depth there at wide receiver, gives them a guy to be their kick returner, which right now it's a real battle. They don't have any true kick returner. So again, maybe it's something the Patriots kick the tires on. I don't think it would cost them a lot of money. I would say it's probably not as likely, but for the bare minimum, seeing what he has, bring him in for a workout. If all clears, I wouldn't mind Cordarrelle Patterson being a guy that is my kick returner, has experience in the system, can hit the ground running, and then the Patriots offense becomes a little bit less predictable, right? They have that gadget player in the back of their pocket that they say, hey, we can have Cordarrelle Patterson. He can be on the field and he could take a jet sweep. He could take a snap there in the backfield and run the ball. He could line up at X receiver. He can line up in the slot and make some plays down the field still. But because I know we got some more training camp updates I want to get into, but I did want to share this because you never know. You never know. By the way, just a quick update. Mark Daniels did also report that with Christian Gonzalez out, the Patriots' top cornerbacks have been Alex Austin, Marcus Jones, and Marcellus Dial in the slot. So it sounds like, at least early on, what the Patriots lineup defensively would be. In fact, maybe I should pull this up so you guys can follow along a bit easier. But it sounds like if Gonzo does go down in the regular season, God, please don't let that happen. If Carlton Davis goes down in the regular season, God, please don't let that happen. Then this would be your top backup unit, which, this is why I'm telling you guys, okay? This is why I'm telling you guys we need more depth. We need more depth at outside cornerback, damn it. Because it looks like your secondary with both of those guys out would be Alex Austin as your perimeter cornerback, Marcus Jones, 5'8". Marcus Jones would be your other outside cornerback, and then you would have Marcellus Dial, the 6th-round pick from 2024. He would be playing in the slot. Yeah, look, Alex Austin, I think he also spelled Austin wrong. I don't know what that is, Mark Daniels. This is why you got to spell check, buddy. This is why you got to spell check. But Alex Austin, I like him, but he's definitely not a number one cornerback. Certainly not. I like that he's playing outside finally. He has the size to do so, but he's certainly not a number one. Marcus Jones is good enough. He has a good enough technique to play on the outside. There's times we saw that in 2022 and in 2023 where he was going up against Devontae Adams and he was able to hold his own. But there was a lot of times he was also getting burned, right? Like if you have a 6'2" receiver at least, which a lot of teams do, going up against a 5'8" Marcus Jones, the guy doesn't have to do much to be able to moss him. So that would be very much concerning. And then Marcellus Dial there in the slot. I mean, Marcellus Dial, maybe he's finally developed, but in the preseason last year, he was PFF's lowest graded cornerback in all of the preseason. So again, maybe he's developed, but certainly a bit worrisome. So look, we're not hitting the panic button because the regular season isn't here, right? Like I expect week one Gonzo and Carlton Davis to be out there. But again, in an unfortunate world, and please knock on wood with me here, guys, that any of those guys goes down, this would be your starting lineup. And to me, that is concerning. Gilly makes sense. Look, if anything serious happened to Carlton Davis or Gonzo, please knock on wood with me one more time, then I would bring in Stephon Diggs. But I don't think Stephon Diggs would want to come in here and be cornerback 3 because you're paying Gonzo and Carlton Davis enough money to where they're going to be your starting outside cornerbacks. And Gilly himself is going to want a decent amount of money too because he's still playing at a high enough level. So I don't think he's going to want to come to a situation where he's cornerback 3 and not playing as much. But also, do the Patriots want to pay a guy that much money just to be their cornerback 3? Probably not. But hey, look, if Stephon Diggs wants to come here, or Stephon Gilmore, if Stephon Gilmore wants to come here, I'm all for it. I will always be all for that. Are you kidding me? Let's see if we got any more updates. We got some updates here from Evan Lazar. And Evan Lazar, I mean, you got your reporters that, report on the casual stuff. That's probably more so what I would do. But then you got Evan Lazar who does the Madden-esque stuff. You got Evan Lazar who's essentially like a mini coach himself, man. Shout out to Evan Lazar, man. I don't know how he does it. I don't understand some of the things he says, but as long as he does, I trust him. But we got a couple of notes here from him. I want to get into this. Share this with you guys. So coming out here from Evan Lazar, we have a couple of one-on-one notes from the O-line and D-line. And guys, this is what I was looking for. Oh, okay, we got some other good news here. Okay, I'm excited. Drake Maye. Okay, don't get ahead of myself. But this is what I was really looking for here today was the O-line and D-line combinations, because this is the first time that we really get an idea at what the D-line is going to look like, what the offensive line is going to look like, right? What we've seen throughout the first 4 days of training camp has been, he's projected to be sacked. This would have been a pressure, but like there's not really much going on when there's no pads, right? It's not a full go for the trenches, and there's nothing for the offensive lineman to truly grip onto. So today, I'm definitely taking away from the O-line and D-line. And according to Evan Lazar here, you had Morgan Moses over Harold Landry. You had a White over Campbell, which is something that we've been seeing all offseason long. You had Michael Onwenu and Farms going over each other. And then you had nice wins for City So, Jared Wilson, and Ben Brown. So honestly, I think City So makes the most sense at left guard if Cole Strange doesn't pan out. I like City So the most, man. I think City So behind Cole Strange makes a lot of sense on this offensive line in terms of guard. I don't think that what's his name? I don't think that Layden Robinson makes his roster, be honest with you. And I understand that Elliott Wolf drafted him in 2024, but Layden Robinson is not making plays. He's not rolling with the first team offense. He's not standing out. He's rolling with the third team offense. But that's going to be another bust of a pick. Wow. That 2024 draft is looking worse and worse. I'm going to be honest. I never really liked the Layden Robinson pick. I've always been standing on that. I've never liked Layden Robinson. The player, not the person. The player. But moving on here, Evan Lazar reports that the defense had the advantage in a run-heavy opening team period, but Will Campbell did create some run room for Antonio Gibson on a nice combo block. So it sounds like Campbell's doing pretty well there. The Patriots rookie left tackle there, first-round pick, standing out a little bit. And that's what I love about Will Campbell is that he's so technically sound. He's so athletic. And yeah, he might be a little bit smaller for a tackle, but this is a guy that he's fast. Like Will Campbell is freaking fast for an offensive lineman. So he's going to be able to get downfield with some of these faster running backs, right? Like Antonio Gibson, Travion Henderson. They have a guy over on the left side that is going to be able to get downfield with them to block, which is going to have the advantage for these guys to break off some pretty big runs. And then we get another report here about Will Campbell from Evan Lazar saying that Will Campbell looks great in the run game in his first padded practice, moving the line on down block combos, put a few dudes on the ground already. Yes, Will Campbell. Stuck up for Will Campbell. Now, look, obviously, you draft Will Campbell to first protect Drake Maye. So hopefully he's doing good there also. But at the very least, early on, Will Campbell is doing really, really well in helping to create in the run game, which this team, I know everybody is thinking about the passing game with Drake Maye. I understand why, but this team early on is going to be very, very run heavy. And then, like I said, I was starting to freak out a little bit ago because I saw this report come in from Evan Lazar, who says that Drake Maye hits Jalen Polk for a touchdown from inside the 10 on a well-executed PA fake. Polk on the corner route. Everybody put your hands up one time for my boy Jalen Polk, because, oh my gosh, this is what he needed. This is what he needed. Is Jalen Polk coming out? Is this Jalen Polk coming out party? I don't know. Look, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to party just yet. But guys, we said this in yesterday's recap. We said it the day before. Damn it, we said it today, that Jalen Polk needed to be back here for pads, and he needed to make his name heard. What does he do? Jalen Polk comes back on the first day of padded practices, and he makes his name heard. Touchdown, day one of training camp for Jalen Polk. And he operated exactly how I would expect him to operate in a Josh McDaniels offense. Like, Jalen Polk isn't going to be this intermediate to deep threat. Jalen Polk is going to be that chain mover. He's going to be more of that mechanical guy. He's going to be someone I think you can play all over the offense formation. More short to intermediate. That's where he's going to operate. And those guys always thrive under Josh McDaniels. I think that Jalen Polk makes so much more sense in a Josh McDaniels offense than an Alex Van Pelt offense. The biggest question for him was, can he come back from the injury? Can he come back soon enough? And can he build that chemistry with Drake Maye? Can he pick up where we saw him the first 4 weeks of last season? But can he also pick up after what we saw from him during the offseason this time last year? Really, more specifically, can he beat out some of these veteran wide receivers? So, look, I'm not telling you that Jalen Polk is now making the roster or anything like that, but what I am saying is that so far, Jalen Polk is having the practice that he needed to have to at least be in the conversation for one of those spots. Again, I'm not telling you that he's making the roster now, but what I am telling you is that Jalen Polk needed to have this type of day. Now, he needs to do more than just this. He's going to need to continue to shine out, but at the very least, he's at least making his name heard. Last year was tough on Polk. They threw him in the deep end without help and expected him to swim easily. I agree. I think that you hit on this perfectly. That they expected that Jalen Polk was going to be someone that they could immediately throw out there and immediately be a big part to this offense and immediately make up for the quarterback switches, immediately make up for the worst offensive line in the league. But they forgot that he was a rookie and that he also needed to develop himself. And I don't really know how much that offense was developing receivers last year either. So, again, I think part of it was on Jalen Polk, but I also do believe that part of it was on the coaching staff too. And Ellie Wolf said that himself. Ellie Wolf said that this coaching staff put too much on the plate of Jalen Polk. And I said this in my breakdown yesterday, maybe it was the day before, that wide receiver is all about the mental game. Wide receiver is all about the confidence. And we saw Jalen Polk with that confidence in the preseason, in training camp, in OTAs, in minicamp last year. We saw it the first 3-4 weeks of the season. But as time went on, they asked him to play a bigger role. And it was really ever since that Miami game that Jalen Polk just never came back the same. And I think it's because his confidence was shot. I think he got into his head a little bit too much. I think he started listening to the fan base and what the fan base had to say a little bit too much. Because if you look at it, a lot of Jalen Polk's issues came from the most important part. Like, he was getting open, but his problem was drops. Quarterbacks would go his way. Maye, Brissett, they would go Jalen Polk's way, but he would drop the ball. And at some point, they just said, we can't rely on you. We're not going your way anymore. And it was those concentration drops, to me, that solidify everything that I just said. because you suffer from concentration drops when you're focusing too much, when you're in your head too much, when you lose the confidence. I think that's exactly what happened with Polk. Again, for me, Polk's biggest battle is not about talent. Polk's biggest battle, whether it's with the Patriots or whether it's with another organization, is going to be, can he come back and get out of his own head? See if we got any more updates. Wow, practice is already wrapping up. Damn. Practice goes quicker than I thought. Damn it. I mean, it really does only be about an hour, hour and a half. It really isn't that long. Colby, why are you supporting Polk? Polk is already a proven bust, question mark. I wouldn't say he's a proven bust, right? Like, here's what I never understood. Okay. I never understood the Patriots fans. And look, this isn't me hating on anybody. Everybody has their own thought process. Everybody has their own beliefs, right? But for me, I never fall in love with what a player can be. I always try to believe in realistic outlooks, and then I try to report that for you guys. I try to give you guys the clearest outlook, taking myself out of situations from a fan perspective. And I think that a lot of Patriots fans, they believe in Javon Baker more than Jalen Polk because they want Javon Baker to work out. Not because Javon Baker has shown more than Jalen Polk, but it's because fans love the idea of what could be. And everybody thinks that Javon Baker could be this outside X receiver that Drake Maye lofts the ball up to, and he makes a contested catch 50 yards down the field for a big gain. And that's what we thought he could be. But in reality, that's just not who he is. And I think that the Patriots miss with Javon Baker. Because what has Javon Baker proved since he was drafted? Javon Baker proved that the second he was drafted, he started chirping his mouth. He started saying things that just weren't true. Grab your popcorn. I'm going to make people in wheelchairs stand up. You never did it. And he really didn't do much in spring practices his rookie year. And then he makes some plays in training camp, and we say, let's see what Baker can do in the preseason. And then Javon Baker does nothing in the preseason. He has 2 terrible drops in deep passes from Drake Maye in that second game. I believe it was the second preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Baker couldn't get on the field at all last year with a soft-ass coaching staff in a wide receiver core that had pretty much no talent. Javon Baker still couldn't get on the field all season long because he couldn't line up correctly in practice and didn't know the playbook. Let's fast forward into this offseason under Mike Vrabel. During spring practices, in OTAs and minicamp, in the couple of plays he made, he's out here flexing on the third-team cornerback that he mossed and is chirping to the defense while the rest of the offense is in the huddle trying to run a play, waiting for Javon Baker to get into the mix. And ever since then, Baker, he's made one play. So for me, I think the wide receiver that was drafted last year that we should be talking about, that is a bust, is Javon Baker, because that guy's proven absolutely nothing. And I think that Javon Baker, I'm going to be honest, I think Javon Baker needs to mature. I think Javon Baker's biggest threat to his NFL career is himself, because he was someone who was drafted to come in here and make those contested catches down the field. But every single time we've seen Drake Maye go his way in an actual game, preseason or regular season, it goes right through his hands. He can't catch. And I think he's just a little bit too immature right now to understand the work that goes into being an NFL wide receiver. At least Jalen Polk, look, I'm not saying he's the most mentally mature, but I think that Jalen Polk is at least more mentally mature than Javon Baker. At least Jalen Polk was at the throwing session a couple of weeks ago. Javon Baker decided he didn't want to show up. Jalen Polk showed the promise at one point. Let's not forget the plays that he was making against the 49ers last year. Like, Jalen Polk made some plays in the regular season. He made plays in the preseason. And then everything became a little bit too much for him, and mentally, there became a block for Jalen Polk. I also think that Jalen Polk fits in the Josh McDaniels offense a lot more compared to Javon Baker. So again, I'm not saying either guy is going to work out. Right now, it's on pace for both of those guys to be a bust. But look, I think that Jalen Polk has the potential to come back compared to Javon Baker. I think Jalen Polk could still be a good wide receiver 3, maybe a wide receiver 4. I don't think that Javon Baker is an NFL wide receiver right now. But let's get into some of these other notes. I know Evan Lazar just updated one more. We'll see who else has anything here. But Lazar posts, Patriots practice is wrapping up. Run heavy for the first day in pads, which is what it sounds like. It sounds like we didn't get a lot from the passing game overall, which it does make sense. You put on pads. I mean, if you're the coaching staff, you want to see what you're getting from the run game for the first time all offseason. Like, this is the first look that the fans, that the coaching staff is really getting from the run game. Up to this point, it has been really all passing throughout training camp. This is the first time you get to see the run game, the first time you get to see the trenches, the O-line and the D-line. So they're really taking advantage of that, which makes a ton of sense. Evan Lazar also says that thought Will Campbell held up well and had some standout blocks in the run game. Polk on the board with a good play action fake leading to an open touchdown. K'Lavon Chaisson stood out on the defense side of the football. So I think a low-key battle that we need to watch, and maybe both guys just ultimately end up making the roster. But to me, I think that this is a battle, at least I've built it up to be one in my head, is K'Lavon Chaisson and Braden Swinson, the rookie edge rusher. Both of those guys are more so outside linebackers that set the edge, rush the passer a little bit. One is a veteran, one is a rookie, but they both have really good size. They both have really good length, and they both have the ability in getting to the quarterback, that pass rush potential. We've seen that Braden Swinson had a couple of sacks already in training camp, but K'Lavon Chaisson has stood out quite a few times in spring practices and even standing out today when the pads have gone on. So certainly something to watch there for both of those guys, K'Lavon Chaisson and Braden Swinson. See if we got any other good reports here. So we did get another report from, let's see, where is he? We got another report from Mark Daniels, if this will load. I want to share with you guys because Mark Daniels looks like he gave us our first update on the actual passing side of things. So according to Mark Daniels, let me zoom in on this. According to Mark Daniels, Patriots day 5 of camp, 11 on 11s. Wow, they really did almost no passing today. This really is the least amount of passing we've seen all offseason. Drake Maye goes 5 for 6. Joshua Dobbs goes a perfect 2 for 2. And Ben Woolridge goes 2 for 3. Damn, Ben Woolridge got more passes than Dobbs. How about that? He says first day of pads, so focus was on the red zone and run game. Is Mark Daniels okay? Is Mark Daniels having a stroke? Man, anybody at training camp needs to check on my boy Mark Daniels because my boy's spelling and punctuation is just not there today. Ultimately, what he's referring to is first day of pads. The main focus was working in the red zone for the offense. So the passing that you're hearing from the offense is working within the red zone. But then the main priority, like we've been hearing from everyone, was focusing on the run game. As we know, Christian Gonzalez leaves with a left leg injury. Left practice after the first play of 11 on 11s. That's one player they cannot afford to lose. I absolutely do agree with him. And then it looks like they got interviews, press conferences going on right now. Demario Douglas is really enjoying the Josh McDaniels offense. Well, damn, Pop, I'm sure you are. Man, Pop Douglas is like the wide receiver in this offense. I know Stephon Diggs is going to be technically wide receiver 1. He'll be going up against the number 1 corner at any given week. But like in terms of production, Demario Douglas has been the number 1 guy. I mean, this guy is producing every single damn day. Can we get the press conferences, actually? I'd love to react to these. Um, I don't think so. Why aren't they doing these damn press conferences live? I mean, we could react to the Mike Vrabel press from earlier, but that's one thing I wish they did. I feel like they used to do that. I feel like these press conferences used to be live. One thing I would say. But we look, we can react to what Mike. I haven't watched it yet, so we could react to that here live together. Hey guys, make sure you do me a big favor too. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already yet. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure if you are watching on Twitter, you guys hit that repost button, hit that like button, hit that follow button on Twitter. Also, if you're watching on Twitter, hit that link in the bio. Take you straight to YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube and get in on the discussion over on YouTube, man. Make sure you guys follow on all platforms. We release content on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We produce a lot of content on TikTok, not just Patriots, but just all NFL news in general. A lot of Patriots news, mainly Patriots news, but also a lot of NFL content. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video too. Over on YouTube, helps support me significantly. But I think we should just react to the Mike Vrabel press conference because I'm trying to find the ones where they're doing with players right now, and it's just they're not doing it. All right. Well, that is a damn shame. I thought maybe like on the Patriots app they would be live streaming these pressers, but I guess they're just not going to show the press conferences until after they conclude. That feels a little dumb. All right, so let's watch the Mike Vrabel press conference from today. What's today, right? Press conferences. All right, yeah. Well, let's react to the Mike Vrabel presser. What the hell? Oh, there we go. All right, where I'm gonna share this with you guys. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. We're going to watch it together. This is what Vrabel had to say before the press conference. I know that Demario Douglas is at the podium because Mark Daniels we just went over, reported something. So it looks like they won't do live pressers. That's stupid. Hopefully they get them up quick. But this was Mike Vrabel before practice today. So let's see what Vrabes had to say. Let me know if you guys cannot hear this, but you guys should be able to.
I can.
Hey, Mike. You were a rookie with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe in your first padded practice, you might have gotten into a fight. Should I assume that you don't want your rookies doing that?
I don't want any of us doing that.
We went over this earlier.
It's a long time ago,
no
Karen.
fighting.
Can you give
Karen opened up with one heck of a question, Karen.
Okay.
Let's go, Karen.
Follow up.
Let's go, Karen. You said, Mike Vrabel, do you want them to fight?
I mean, we don't.
And he said no. That's groundbreaking reporting right there, man.
We have to play, which
Let's
is
go, Karen.
and
Team Karen.
within the rules, and have a great play demeanor, finish through the whistle, and all those things. And if you throw a punch, you're going to get kicked out of the game, which is going to cost the team. So
that's a fact,
I don't
Graves.
anticipate any of that. I want us to celebrate with our team and the defensive unit, celebrate with each other. Offensive unit, get excited and celebrate with each other. Not get into the taunting and the things that we would, that we can't have during the game.
Did you at least win?
I think I did. It's a good
fight.
story about. Don't use the fight, but about a veteran player. Greg Lloyd was a very dominant player imposing figure. And I got drafted in April, and he didn't say a word to me through OTAs. And I'm on the defense, mind you. So he didn't say a word to me the entire off season. We go to training camp. There was a fight with me and a tight end, and I'm exhausted after practice, and I see this like shadow come over me as I'm sitting in the locker room, and he's like in his deep voice, and he's like, "Yeah, the next time you want to come up underneath the face mask." And I was like, "You just now are going to talk to me?" He's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you weren't like a punk, and then I would talk to you." So it's a good example of just a veteran making sure that rookies kind of earn their stripes, I guess, a little bit. But
Braves, what a guy. I wish you could hear the questions better.
Yeah, I think so. This will be, twofold. We'll be down in the red zone. We'll be getting a lot of work in the red zone. Things happen a lot quicker down there. Tighter windows. Just the speed of everything, it just gets sped up. And so that'll be good for us to move on to that situation, as well as see how we, start to practice in pads and our pad level, our fundamentals, our hands, and those types of things.
Mike, as you share that story and talk about the guy not talking to you for a couple months while you're together, do you feel like it's different in the NFL or with this specific team now?
Well, I just think that was a Greg Lloyd type of thing. You know what I mean? I think that was certainly his personality. I think that there's, you're always trying to, prove yourself to your teammates, especially as a young player. And Greg probably took it a little too extreme.
Like after all these OTAs and the first 4 days without pads, your excitement level today, maybe on a scale from 1 to 10.
Okay, so what the reporter just asked, for those who couldn't hear, is just asking Mike Vrabel what are his thoughts of pads going on day one. What's the excitement level? Just kind of basically asking him what's the difference between when pads go on versus maybe when pads are not on. How are those takeaways different? Also, guys, we have over 100 people watching. We have over 100 people watching on YouTube, man. But we only got like 40 likes. What's up with that? What's up with that? If you guys want us to go live like this every single day for live recaps of training camp on top of the official post-training camp recaps, make sure you guys hit that big thumbs up, because it tells me I like this content, Colby. I would like to see more of this. I would like to see more of this, Colby.
I just think coming off of a day off, I think this is just another step in our program. So I try to come out here with the same excitement and give them everything I got and help them. So this is just another important step throughout the process of preparation. Go ahead. Don't worry about that.
What's it been like having Terrell Williams back out there with the team?
Great.
Having him on defense.
Yes,
what have you seen from him?
Well, he has an energy to him. There's the players are, they respond well to him. And when he has his clips that he shows them and the things that he thinks are important as a coordinator, I think that they're believing in what we want to do and our style of play. And so just keep moving ahead. But it's great to have him back, just his personality and demeanor.
Mike, if you were in our shoes, what would you think? You'd say, you guys should really watch this. You've been doing this for a long time. You know how.
You mean if I was a part of the media?
Yeah, if you would say, you guys
I don't think there's ever a scenario where that would happen.
Oh, that's absolutely a matter of time. You already did stuff with Felga 15 years ago.
As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to be in the witness protection plan. You will never find me.
All right. Well, if you decided you would help us.
I mean, I just think that how maybe some of these, to me, it's critical at the line of scrimmage, right? Just being able to make contact. There's going to be a stalemate. There's two professional players lined up across from each other. Who can re-engage? Who can reset their feet? Maybe get a little extra movement. How do we play on? Do we stay on our feet? Can we practice like this and stay on our feet? We got a bunch of guys falling on the ground. I'd rather not see that. I just don't think that good teams end up practicing that way. And again, just the urgency in which we move around practice, that we're in and out of the huddle. The players are running on and off the field. Those are all things that I think are critical. I think that translate to the field, to the game, right? Where, you're not standing 10 yards behind the ball. You're coming from the sideline, and we're communicating the personnel, and the quarterback has to echo that. Those are the types of things right now that we're trying to build.
I feel like that kind of goes back to with what we've heard Vrabel's approach and mindset is here with Patriots practice. It's not just training camp. It's not just for the pads. It's every single practice this team approaches, is that Vrabel has this mindset that he does not want players standing on the sidelines, chopping it up, not doing anything, coaches not doing anything, players taking plays off. That's something we saw with Belichick, especially during the end of his tenure, but we also saw that with Gerard Mayo in his 1 year. With Mike Vrabel, he's treating practices kind of like actual live games. When the play is over, he has the coaching staff re-huddling with the groups, right? The offensive line huddling up with the offensive line coaches. Josh McDaniels huddling up with the offense, going over the plays, what worked, what didn't. Doing this in live reps or live moments instead of saying, all right, we're just gonna put it all on film and then we're not gonna say anything. And then later on in the meetings, then we're gonna go over it. I mean, they're still going over it in meetings, but they're also doing it during practices. You know, it's making sure that players are doing something at all times, which I think is gonna go a long way, not just for players physically, but more so mentally, because you don't have to be doing something physically to be doing something at all times, to be participating. And a lot of times it's those mental reps that are going to go a long way for players, helping to improve that football IQ. So we can watch the remainder of this press conference if you guys have any interest, but I do actually want to go over to Twitter because I do want to recap a couple of more things before we end off today's video. I will be on Roundtable Sports 4th and Forever. I'm feeling it for my boy Richie today. So I will be on 4th and Forever on Roundtable Sports at 2 p.m. Eastern. So for anyone who wants to hear my general thoughts on NFL topics, make sure to go to Roundtable Sports YouTube channel, 2 p.m. Eastern. We will be talking about some topics going around the league right now. But let me share Twitter because there's some really, really good notes that I want to get into here that we didn't get into earlier. Now, Alex Barth, being Alex Barth, reported the hang times for Bryce Behringer today. Something you don't hear from anybody else, man. That's what makes Alex different. Shout out to Alex Barth for this. So the hang times for Bryce Behringer today were a 4.18, a 4.93, a 4.61, a 4.21, a 4.35, and a 4.81. So a bit of a down day for Bryce Behringer. I know this sounds crazy, right? Like some of these times, I mean, a 4.93, like what do you mean it's a down day? A 4.81, what are you talking about? We see Bryce Behringer putting up like 5-second hang time. So didn't put up one today, so maybe have a bit of a more down day, but nonetheless, Bryce Behringer absolutely booting it. Want to get into some of these tweets here for Taylor Kyles because my boy Taylor Kyles, man, is just on top of every little thing that happens, man. Let me tell you, I got to meet Taylor Kyles. Him and I chopped it up a little bit at the Super Bowl and at the Senior Bowl, and I can tell you firsthand, this guy is always on his phone tweeting about every little thing that happens, man. One of the hardest working guys in Boston sports. I truly do mean that. I got to hit him up, man. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I wanted to get him on the channel. Maybe I got to text him later and tell him we got to get him on the channel soon. But a couple notes that I want to get into here. Now, Kyle Williams, bared Marcellus Dial on an outbreaker in the low red zone and made a one-handed touchdown catch in the back corner. In fact, I think we actually have a video of that. I believe I saw someone post a video of this. Did Rob post the video? No, but Rob did post. Wait, did Rob post the video? Oh, yeah. Rob posted it. All right, that's my boy. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to share Instagram. This is the one-handed touchdown catch from Kyle Williams over Marcellus Dial in the back of the end zone. So like I said, red zone work. It's just one-on-ones here. No 11-on-11s, no 7-on-7s. But, oh, my God. I mean, the coverage is good. The coverage is good by Marcellus Dial. I mean, look, you can't make this up. It's not bad coverage. I mean, Marcellus Dial did exactly what he needed to. He had sticky man coverage, and he played the receiver. He didn't play the ball. It looks like he was just maybe a step behind. Kyle Williams had a step on him, but Marcellus Dial did a great job pushing him to the back of the end zone, because Kyle Williams here isn't just working against Marcellus Dial. Kyle Williams is fighting the hash marks. He's fighting to stay in bounds. So good coverage, but Kyle Williams with the speed gets a step on him. The route wasn't anything spectacular, but he's able to get one hand on it and just brings the ball in. I mean, that is just a great play by Kyle Williams, the rookie receiver, but that's also just good ball placement there by Drake Maye, something that we're hoping to be able to see all season long. Now, it's good to be able to do this with pads in training camp, but it's another to do it live in a game. But Kyle Williams, a one-handed touchdown catch. How about that, man? Make sure you guys go ahead. You guys know Rob, friend of the podcast. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow Rob on Instagram, Patriots7, man. You guys see it right here, 30,000 followers on Instagram. Nobody does it on Instagram like Rob does for Patriots content, man. He has you guys updated with all the plays, all the highlights, all the news. Make sure you guys go ahead and check him out because that is where we are getting this content on Instagram. In fact, Rob also provided. Now, Rob didn't take these videos. Rob got this from I don't really know who he got it from, to be honest, but he's still posting the best damn content, making sure he gets it on all platforms. But he gives us an update here on Gonzo too. So I wanted to post this. I know a lot of people are worried. We talked about the Gonzo injury earlier. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on that, we reacted to it in live time. Boy, oh boy, was I worried. But like we said earlier, Gonzo leaves with a left leg injury. You see it. Yeah, that's a hamstring. That is 100% a hamstring. Looking at this video, you see him pointing back left leg, upper back left leg to that hamstring. So not a calf injury, definitely a hammy. Hopefully, he just pulled something. Hopefully he just tweaked something. He can get that massaged out and be good to go tomorrow. But that's 100% a hamstring injury to that left leg. You see him limping, but he's not on the ground, doesn't need to get helped off, doesn't need the cart. He's walking off under his own power, but you see an obvious limp there for Gonzo. So definitely not ideal, but it definitely could be a lot worse. I'll be interested to hear what that injury update is moving forward, and hopefully we get one. Hopefully get one here pretty soon. But want to go back here to Twitter. Taylor Kyle's had some other good notes that I wanted to share with you guys. Make sure you guys see this. All right, perfect. But Kayshon Boutte, I know a lot of people were asking about him. Some people feel like he is a lock at this point. I wouldn't say a lock for sure, but I feel pretty good about him. Now, Kayshon Boutte caught a touchdown in the back of the end zone with ease against Christian Gonzalez, trailing him with a contested catch underneath. So this was before Gonzo went down, but Kayshon Boutte caught a touchdown catch over Christian Gonzalez before Gonzo obviously went down. And then you also had Kyle Williams with a contested catch, a high-pointed pass, but DJ James recovered and knocked the ball loose as they fell to the ground. So Kyle Williams had that touchdown catch, one-handed back of the end zone from Drake Maye, has an opportunity to make another play, high-pointing a ball, but DJ James, the defensive back, was able to recover and knock that ball away from Kyle Williams. Looks like Antonio Gibson had a pretty good day for himself here today. Antonio Gibson beat Christian Ellis twice for touchdowns on out routes from the backfield. So, I mean, Christian Ellis, a guy that's been very, very much involved with these linebackers. He's actually been the linebacker behind Robert Spillane. I'll be curious to see if he's still the linebacker when you have Jelani Tavai return. But at least while Tavai is gone, the number one linebacker behind Robert Spillane, repping as linebacker 2, has been Christian Ellis, who really is the Patriots' best coverage linebacker. But today, Antonio Gibson gave him the works. You had Kayshon Boutte with another touchdown against Christian Gonzalez, this time on a fade with Gonzo at the catch point. So I don't know what was going on, but it sounds like Christian Gonzalez was struggling a little bit in training camp today. You don't hear Gonzo really ever getting beat, let alone for a touchdown, let alone 2 touchdowns, let alone by the same player. Now, hey, look, Kayshon Boutte might be a little bit inconsistent, but Kayshon Boutte be beating number 1 cornerbacks. I mean, let's keep in mind, he beat Stingley for the Texans for like a 45-yard touchdown last year for the Texans, Drake Maye's first touchdown. He also beat Sauce Gardner a few times. Now he's beating Gonzo. If Kayshon Boutte could just be more consistent, he'd get more respect in the league. because he lines up as wide receiver 1 at times. He plays the number 1 cornerbacks at times, and he wins. Just those inconsistencies for him. But Kayshon Boutte with a great day. 2 touchdown catches, both on Gonzo. Drake Maye hits Stephon Diggs on a crosser off a play action with Christian Gonzalez trailing, but Jabril Peppers would have lit up the wide receiver from over the top in a real game. So it sounds like you got Jabril Peppers still bringing that physicality to this Patriots defense under Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams. Christian Ellis just diagnosed and quickly blew up an outside zone run. So Christian Ellis maybe struggled a little bit in coverage today, but was definitely making his name heard when it came to run defense. Taylor Cowles also reports that he saw some impressive runs off the left side today, all 3 offensive groups. So it sounds like it wasn't just Will Campbell that was shining over on that left side, but it sounds like with all 3 offensive units, first team offensive line, second team offensive line, and third team offensive line, that left side of the O-line was really showing out from a positive standpoint in the run game. Now, Jared Wilson, the rookie 3rd-round pick that we've seen repping in at center and guard with the starting unit, continues to rep at both left guard and center with the first-team offense. He just snubbed in for Cole Strange. So, really interesting storyline with Jared Wilson. He's substituting in for Cole Strange. He's substituting in for Garrett Bradbury. Where does he ultimately end up? That's a question, but they're definitely trying to get Jared Wilson into the starting lineup, which, look, I'm all for. Antonio Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson have both had big runs on the left side in the second round of the 11-on-11s. So that, I mean, like that's one thing that's been consistent here with day 5 of camp. Something that has been a big takeaway. Day 1 of pads is that these running backs are looking pretty damn good, and more specifically, it's off to that left side. Not hearing much about them running to the right side, but when they run to that left side, it's when they're being the most productive. Taylor Cowles also reports that it just got a strong pull from Jared Wilson to help open up a lane right for Ramondre Stevenson. So it sounds like these rookies on the O-line are certainly making an impact in the run game. Hopefully they make just as much of an impact in pass protection also. Taylor Cowles also reporting that Jared Wilson is now at center with Caden Wallace at left guard for the top offense. So originally in practice, we heard that Jared Wilson substituted in for Cole Strange. So they took Cole Strange out with the first team offensive line and put Jared Wilson at left guard. Then they switched it up even more and said, Garrett Bradbury, get out. Jared Wilson, you're at center. Cole Strange, stay out, because Caden Wallace, you are rolling with the starting offensive line at left guard. Look, there might be a world. Okay, there's a lot of football to still be played. The preseason games are going to be really big for roster cutdowns. But there is a world in which Garrett Bradbury and Cole Strange don't make this roster. There's a world in which that does not happen unless Cole Strange wants to stick around as like the main backup, but he might not want to do that. But there is a world in which Jared Wilson could be your starting center and Caden Wallace could be your starting left guard. He's getting reps with the first team offense. So nobody's ran away with the job. I would still say Cole Strange has been the leader of the pack at left guard, but Caden Wallace is getting opportunities with the first team offense. So that's something to note. And then Taylor Cowles loves to tweet out those college highlights for these rookies, but he says left tackle Will Campbell blocking downhill, something he reported in March, and he says it's translating. So it sounds like exactly what we saw from Will Campbell getting downfield to block for these running backs is exactly what we are seeing here today in camp. Taylor Cowles also reports that the Patriots are moving on to field goals after a competitive team run. The offense opened some big holes, but hey, we got to pause for that one. But the Patriots are moving on to field goals after a competitive team run game session. The offense opened up some big holes, but there were also several reps that ended at or near the line. So Patriots had some good moments, but also some rough moments too. Looks like we got a little bit of Travion Henderson action. Travion Henderson with a nice juke against Kyle Duggar. Damn. Can we get that in slow-mo? Damn. I mean, look, what would that be in a real setting where Duggar gets to tackle? Maybe he sets his hips a little bit more, but ideally that's what you want to see Duggar do, right? You want to see Duggar anchor himself, square his hips up so that he can make a play on Travion Henderson and not just go straight. I mean, you can see his hips going straight to our right. So his left which allows Henderson to juke him out there. From Alex Barth here, Parker Romo goes a perfect 6 for 6, kicking between 30 and 52 yards. No kicks for Andy Borgales. So Andy Borgales, so far in training camp, from what we've heard, Parker Romo has been the better guy. Parker Romo has been the better guy over Andy Borgales. It's close, but Romo does get the nod here in training camp. Obviously, throughout spring practices, OTAs, and minicamp, you had Andy Borgales being the clear winner. Jabril Peppers blows up a run after 2 positive gains for the Patriots in the ground game. Hearing a lot of physicality here from Jabril Peppers. Drake Maye's crossing concept was well covered off of play action, so he dumped it to Antonio Gibson just short of the goal line for a score. There was also a fumbled snap between Jared Wilson and Drake Maye. This is something that we also heard a couple of days ago. Same thing happened, so that's one thing that might hold Jared Wilson back, right? If we continue to hear that there's botched snaps between Wilson and Maye, like they don't want turnovers. They don't want the ball on the ground. That's going to be the number one priority. If you put the ball on the ground, you're not going to be a starter. So Jared Wilson having some good moments, but the biggest thing, not putting the ball on the ground. We already heard about that Jalen Polk play. Marcellus Dial stuffed a run versus the backup offense. So Marcellus Dial getting some run in coverage with the starting offense, but also making some plays there in run defense. Joshua Dobbs found the backup tight end G. Scott for an open low red zone touchdown off a bootleg. So G. Scott has been the guy in training camp so far out of these backup tight ends that is certainly it made the most noise. And it looks like Lan Larison, the UDFA running back, bounced outside on a duo and showed impressive burst off the edge. Sounds like a good bounce back day for him when he fumbled a snap on a kickoff return yesterday. Jaheim Bell was open for another potential bootleg touchdown, but Ben Woolridge's pass did not reach him. So Jaheim Bell in the passing game looks like he's making some plays, or at least got some eyes on him. And then looks like we got a little bit of updates here in terms of press conferences. Jack Gibbons, the linebacker, says the Patriots veteran heavy linebacker room isn't just going over the basics. They're talking about adjustments and how to defend how offenses will attack them. So high expectations here for that linebacker core. And then Demario Douglas says he's grown most as a leader entering year 3, noting how he learns himself by teaching the younger players. So, wow, maybe Demario Douglas is taking on a little bit of a leadership role, which, I mean, this is year 3 for him. I never expected Demario Douglas to be that type of guy. So stock up yet again for him. And then Demario Douglas also jokes how he's surprised to see that Matt Collins running juke during the film session. So, haha, that one got me. Funny joke. Any other updates? And it looks like that's it. So we definitely got some other updates that will come in as time goes on, but we're just waiting to hear those final notes. So we will do a final recap later on today with any notes that were missed. And that is going to wrap it up for this live session for the New England Patriots, day 5 of training camp. First day of pads going on, live reactions, live updates in real time. Let me know what you guys thought about this. We've never done this before, but if you guys like this, we will do the same thing tomorrow. We will wake up tomorrow early in the morning, do a live stream for you guys to break down everything that happens in training camp in real time. Let me know if you guys liked this. Also, show me you guys like this. Let me know in the comment section below. Join that football discourse. Talk to each other in the community. Leave a big like on the video. Share the live stream if you guys liked it with a couple of other Patriots fans, friends, family, anybody you guys know. Subscribe to the channel for all your New England Patriots news. We will have a video later for you guys, again, recapping other notes involving today's training camp that maybe we didn't touch upon here today. If you're watching on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. And if you're watching on Twitter, go ahead and hit that link in the bio to follow us over on YouTube, because you only get notified when we go live. You guys don't get notified when we post a regular video or when we post a short or community post. But as always, guys, I appreciate you so much for watching. We will see you guys a little bit later on today. As always, appreciate you guys so much for watching, and go Pats.